All right, let's go ahead and call this special session to order at 12:10 p.m. Roll call, Councillor Gerhart.
Here.
Councillor Braverman.
Here.
Councillor Tyso.
Here.
Councillor Arditi is not going to be in attendance today, and Mayor Kaspersky here. The first thing that we will do is open forum. We've got a short agenda today, just discussing process and needs for city attorney and city manager. So before we do that, we will open it up. Okay. Open forums intended to ensure the community has an opportunity to provide input for items being considered on the agenda and make suggestions for a future agenda. So this time the council will be happy to receive your comments. We'll limit it to 3 minutes if anybody has one. I don't know if we had a sign up sheet, so by show of hands, would anybody like to
Come talk to us.
come talk to us about anything? Okay,
Any suggestions?
I'll say so.
let's do it.
As long as you're soliciting, right?
We are.
Mike Meyer, Unincorporated Washington
Welcome
County.
to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID.
Tonight's agenda, or today's agenda, I guess you're just talking about hiring the city attorney and city manager. My only recommendation would be to, I think it was suggested at a previous meeting, assess what your needs are.
Mhm.
And I think the needs pretty much revolve around land use for the most part. That's a big part of it. I think it's great. Got a notice for the meeting coming up next week for parliamentary procedures. I think that's awesome. So I think training is really important for both the planning commission and for the council. And I'm excited to the direction that the city's going, and keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Was the planning commission invited to the trainings?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
And you'll be there, Mike?
All right.
So can I make some statements?
Well, hold on. We'll finish open forum first. Any other open forum comments? Okay, we'll close open forum at this time. Yeah, if you would like to make a comment, Jessica, before we open,
My comment is this.
or is it going to be related to either
It's gonna
agenda
be
item?
related to this.
So should we just wait till we open the first agenda
Sure.
item? Okay, so our first order of business today is to discuss the city attorney needs and appointment process. So great suggestion. Land use is a huge need that we have. I think it seems at this point we need to piece together probably multiple attorneys to help with our different needs. So that's kind of what we're doing today is we're discussing what needs do we currently have, who can fill those needs, what agreements might we need to enter into, and yeah, go for it.
So that's what I wanted to say. I was under the impression that today's meeting was really only a needs assessment. I think it's premature for us to be hiring anybody or even talking about hiring anybody. In addition to the good comment that was made in public forum by Mike Meyer, yes, we definitely need a land use attorney, but we need much more than that. We need an attorney who already understands the parliamentary procedure. Obviously, they're not here to go to the training with us next week. And one of the biggest, I think, deficits that we've been operating under to date is that we did not have an attorney who knew anything about parliamentary procedure, did not know the rules of the Muni Code, in my opinion, did not know Robert's rules, did not let us allow council to amend an agenda and vote on adding agenda items. So obviously didn't understand the process and procedures, which I feel led us to a huge impasse, which has led us to where we are today. I'd like to avoid that.
Mhm.
And I think all of my council members should be working first on what do we need and in what order. Yes, land use, but we also need somebody who understands human resources. We need somebody who understands parliamentary procedure. We need somebody to help us edit our municipal code and edit our charter, because there are obvious vague areas that have been up for interpretation, where the city manager, for example, sees it one way, city council sees it another. I think we need to form an outsource committee of like an outreach committee or a committee that helps us when we have an impasse. I think we need to be talking about a lot of needs that we have before we hire anybody. I do not want to see us hire somebody to only go back into what we just came out of. If that's where you guys want to
So,
go, I'm out.
If I could actually interrupt you, that's exactly what we're doing today is, so I wrote down some of the needs that you listed. So that is exact, I mean, city attorney needs is the agenda item. So we are discussing what needs we have, which currently land use, definitely we need a parliamentarian, human resources, and yeah.
But before we even get to that, I'd like to see us hire an attorney who can edit our municipal code, fill those ambiguity areas, like what's a publication? Is it the Oregonian or is it our website? Before we do anything, we need to have an operating rule of law that we all feel comfortable having whoever we hire follow. I don't wanna do this in a patchwork way. Obviously, the needs are immediate, but we've gotta have somebody who understands that our muni code and our charter are a disaster.
I'm hearing you say two things. The first is that we need to discuss needs and edit our muni code before we hire somebody, but then also we need to hire somebody to edit our muni code. So I think that, you know, we are discussing our needs, and out of that, we can determine what our most
think-
urgent needs are, and then what we need to, because we don't have any proposals right now for attorneys. We are quite frankly just discussing what are the needs. So I appreciate you opening that up. I think Counselor Tyso has a comment as well.
My comment somewhat echoes what you just said, and editing and changing codes is not an instant process, so we need guidance for land use and HR and parliamentary procedure. We need all of that, and a part of me says that somebody who is conversant in parliamentary procedure and land use are probably going to be the two strengths that we need to help interpret and rewrite
Mhm.
codes.
Does such an attorney exist that would have both specialties, or is this, so this is why I wanted you here to kind of, what are we looking at? Two separate attorneys?
I think
Um,
what you're looking at is a law firm.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I can
I
hardly
think what
hear
you're
you.
looking for is a law firm. So
A
municipal
law
law,
firm.
municipal law is very broad in scope. You know, most lawyers practice in one or two of those areas. You're either, you know, labor and employment, or land use, or public contracting. Your legal needs as a small city are pretty vast, and it is unusual for one person to have all the requisite expertise that you need. You know, people like Peter Watts exist, like they are more general practitioners, and then for specialty areas, they subcontract. That's a structure that a lot of cities have. But more and more what we're seeing is that you need a firm. You need a firm of people that all have municipal law experience, but then have some specialties within that. And you have a variety of options. Obviously, that's something my firm does. You don't have the capacity to take on any additional clients because we're transitioning to attorneys out at the end of the year. But there are firms that are similar to ours in the state of Oregon. You know, Bateman Seidel, I know that there's been some conversation with them. Their particular expertise is land use. And in fact, one of their attorneys, Melissa Ryan, Missy Ryan, was on the land use board of appeals for many, many years. And that's her deep expertise. And they also can provide the entire suite of services.
Hmm.
There's also another firm out of Eugene, Local Government Law Group, that is structured incredibly similar to my law firm BEH, where they have a group of attorneys that all practice municipal law, you know, all have expertise within that. And then a lot of the other larger firms in Portland also have municipal law practice. Miller Nash, they represent Newburgh, they represent Manzanita. So I think you could also pick one of those. Does that help answer your question?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the issue, if you do have one sole practitioner, is that you do end up having like subcontracts within that, like labor subcontract, you know, everybody has a bonding subcontract with labor and so forth.
I think it would be helpful, I'm sorry, I think it would be helpful though, if we could have a working session.
Yeah.
Just look at the municipal code page by page and identify, because I can identify some key maybe
I-
5 key municipal codes.
I think we would want to get one of these firms on board that has
Yes.
muni law
Maybe, but
experience.
Shouldn't we be direct? So before we do
Yeah.
it, we could say, here are the areas we think we should be looking at.
I would like to do it with an attorney.
I don't wanna spend countless amount of
Yeah,
attorney fees
I hear you.
unless we can narrow down the scope.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that we need a firm, right? Because, you know, as Ashley has said, the EH doesn't have capacity to help us in everything. And I know that you're, you know, probably going above and beyond to help us as much as you are as it is. So I would like to see us solicit some proposals and see if any of these firms would be able capacity to help us. And then we can kind of go from there and see which one would best fit our needs. And then understanding that while we're doing that, we could definitely have a work session and go through the Muni code and see where there are, you know, places of ambiguity and places that we would like to see shored up and present those to that attorney. But yeah, go ahead.
2 questions, and one of them just almost flew out of my mind. We have used Jordan Ramus, and how do you place them in the universe of firms that offer the entire suite of services?
I just had forgotten them. They're definitely on the list of a similar firm that provides municipal government services.
Okay, and then my second thing is looking for a list of profitable firms. Would LOC be a good resource, or would the Oregon Bar Association be good? I mean, maybe you can guide us.
Yeah, so what I think most entities do is they put out an RFP, so a request for proposals for city attorney services. And, you know, that could be advertised on the city attorney's listserv, LOC can help you publicize that. But that's how most entities find a new city attorney. And you'll get
Just so we know what our next steps.
Right. And I guess-
Are best, how we are best served, instead of just.
yeah, and you could get sole practitioners that apply to that as well, and you can evaluate them overall.
I still feel very strongly that we need to really, first of all, actually, I really appreciate what you're saying, but I'm just telling you from being burnt for the last 7 months, watching what I've watched unfold to date, I'm opposed to having one firm. I think we need a cadre of different attorneys from different places that aren't gonna just unite with one other person called our city manager, and those two just go off and do whatever they want, and the city council has no oversight, no management, no say-so, no remedy. And then if we say anything, we get a notice of tort. I'm not gonna go down that road again. I really caution this council to avoid that at all costs. We need to be going in a very cautious manner. I'd like us to start out with identifying our needs. And right now, I think our first infrastructure need is to get our code and what areas we need to shore up of that code and get a list going and some thoughts based on what we've experienced so far, and get some public input from that as well, not just mine and yours and yours and yours, but from the outside. And then we should then start talking to a cadre of different contract attorneys and see how we like working with them before we hire them, and see what advice they give us, and see if it's harmonious to what we've already been burned by, and see if we can get something started that direction from the infrastructure up instead of going this way, which didn't work.
I think they can both be happening at the same time. The RFP process is gonna take a little bit of time. We would still have to evaluate each applicant. So I think that both can be happening simultaneously, where we put out an RFP and start to get interest, and we can evaluate those in the meantime, at the same time, looking at our Muni code, having work sessions, discussing where the needs are. And so that way, when we actually have concrete, this is what we want to do, we've already also been evaluating attorneys that might be able to help us.
I'd like to recommend though that we focus on exactly what we came here to do now, which is the attorney's needs.
Yeah.
You know, we're halfway into it here. We're not gonna get any time unless we really focus
Our
and
needs.
start that list.
So I have written down for our needs, we've got land use, we've got parliamentary procedure, somebody that can help us edit the Muni code. It sounds like a lot of firms would have Muni code experience and then additional specialties is what I'm hearing from
And
From
you have
Ashley.
HR experience.
and HR. Yeah, so those are the things I have. Do we have anything in addition that we wanna?
I put them in order of importance. The infrastructure should be the first order of importance. The second should be the Unicode and the charter. The third should be parliamentary procedure. Once we get what parliamentary procedure we're all gonna agree to. So having somebody come in and tell us what our code currently says when we don't have the new code doesn't make any, that to me is backwards. We need the infrastructure, we need the mini code, and we need somebody to help us learn how to administer our changes to the mini code and the charter, so the parliamentary procedure, then land use, then HR. That would be my order of preference.
So Ronnie, you put this together?
Can I offer just sort of what the typical suite of municipal law services are?
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, general municipal government law, that's your public records, public meetings, government ethics. Then you typically have land use, development review, clearly that's a need here. Labor and employment, you guys have unions, you have employees, you're gonna need some assistance there. Litigation and administrative law, sounds like you guys have had some litigation in the past. Public contracting and procurement, one of the things that we identified is that you have not updated your public contracting rules in like 15 years, and so I would put that at the top of your list. Property acquisition and real estate, I'm not sure, you know, how active you guys are, but if you have a lot of land use going on, you typically have a lot of property acquisition and real estate, municipal finance, municipal utilities, and then if you have urban renewal and economic development. So that's, you know, the typical suite of city attorney services. And Council Riverman, I haven't worked with any cities that do exactly what you're saying, where they just have like one person that does finance and one person that does land use and one person that does real estate. I guess you could do it that
I
way.
think we've been burned the other way. I
But-
think it's time for us to try something new.
I think that there could be a lot of inefficiencies in that way. And, you know, it's already sort of hard enough when like I have many clients, like I think we represent like 30 cities to, you know, to understand what the code says. And when you have so many like hands in the pot that aren't necessarily talking to each other,
Hmm.
you might not have consistency in the work product. So that would be one of my concerns there. And I'll tell you how most cities do it, and I'll recommend for you guys as well, is get an interim firm on board. Somebody that will be able to provide your run-of-the-mill legal services while you find whoever your forever.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanna do.
Do we need an RFP for an interim, or can we start an RFP for permanent and in the meantime use our updated resolution?
You know, I was just gonna say, we updated the resolution,
Yeah.
so no, you guys can direct a point for legal services, and so under the new language, you can, you know, you guys can interview or talk to a firm, and they can come on board for an interim,
Mhm.
and then they can actually like help you also through the RFP process.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I was thinking.
For your.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, Council Brayman, that could kind of be that kicking off point of like, do we work well together? You know, and then maybe extend it if,
I'm just-
you know, both
yeah,
parties are on the
I
same
hear,
page,
I
so.
think all of you are making excellent points, and I am listening to everyone, but I guess I'm just kind of a needle stuck on a record right now. I can't overemphasize enough how concerned and worried I am that history is going to repeat itself. I personally feel that I have just survived a war, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And so I think we have some great people already around us. We have people who are great researchers. I think we should also tap into our public and get some input. And I think we should really work collaboratively before we just start having somebody from the outside come in, even on an interim basis, and just continue the mess that we're in. I know I'm repeating myself over and over again because I don't feel like I'm being heard. I guess, you know, we call this a mediation looping. When a person doesn't feel like they're really being heard, they just repeat and repeat and repeat. And I feel like I'm doing that because I can't overemphasize to all of you that our infrastructure, our contracts, how we engage with one another, we need to change that first.
Mhm.
We need to agree, we need people on this bench who are willing to engage in that process, as painful as it may be, to look at what's happened and figure out how do we make sure that doesn't happen again? And what mechanisms can we put into place? Like maybe we agree that LGPS is gonna be our go-to person if we ever have a conflict like that again. Those pieces have got to be put in place, in my opinion. We need better avenues for redress of the public when they're not happy with what city council is doing. Recalls are they're just really upsetting, okay? We need a better mechanism
Yep.
than a recall or a writ. We've learned that recalls and writs are very devastating to the process and the infrastructure. We need to address that.
I want to say that I do hear what you're saying. I do understand. We're starting to get off topic of like our need for discussing our needs for attorney and city manager,
it's
but
relevant.
all of it is very relevant, and all of it is something, again, like I feel like we can be doing at the same time, because the process, if you look at the, like, you know, the next thing we're going to talk about is the city manager stuff, like that's a 4-month process. So we can be accomplishing a lot in that 4 months. Like there's a lot of things that we need a law firm for right now. So I do hear you that we have a lot of infrastructure we need to take care of, but we also can't avoid the fact that we need a law firm to help with this laundry list of items that we just said are our needs, because BEH can't, you know, be on board for all of that. So I think that what our job is as council right now is to ensure that we're doing our homework on who it is that we are entering into contracts with, because it's our job moving forward to decide.
I'm sorry, I don't feel like you're hearing me. I don't think we're ready to hire anyone just yet.
Okay.
I really don't feel like we're ready. I'm not ready to hire
We need to
someone.
be opening it. Like I said, the process takes a while. So we need to start the process, and then we need to evaluate the applicants that come in under the lens of all of the needs we have that you pointed out very clearly. We do need all these needs. We have all these needs. We have all these infrastructure needs. So
You're the mayor, you decide what you wanna do. I don't think we're ready to hire anyone, and I don't think we're ready to engage in the
We're-
process
I don't
just
think
yet.
anybody's.
we're not trying to hire anybody right now. We're discussing our
I don't think
needs.
we're ready for that. I know I'm not ready for that.
So
I-
we
I-
got a list
yeah.
from Ashley, a very nice list.
Yep.
Anything else we want to add to that?
I think that's a good.
I think
list.
we have a great list. We have 4 firm recommendations. I think that we could start an RFP process to just see who submits interest. And in the meantime, we can maybe look into these other 4 and see if there's any we want to direct appoint for specific things. Not saying that has to be done now, okay? But we do have, you know, we do have needs that we need.
If I could offer one other point, your legal officer, the chief legal officer of the city is a charter position, so you need to make sure that you have that fit. And I think right now it's still between my firm and Ed's firm, but like you do need to have somebody in that place going forward. So I do again recommend.
As
And that
like
could be the same firm that we're talking about, all these other
Yeah.
characters.
as
Like,
general
you're
counsel,
the
right?
person, Your chief legal counsel,
Yeah.
and then you do the RFP.
Mhm.
But what I would not advise is that you just don't have that position.
Oh, no, we need it filled. Actually, we need it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I mean, we definitely need to fill it, but I'd like to get us together to work on some of the infrastructure too.
Yeah,
Can we go over that list one more time?
Yeah.
And can we also seek input from the community?
yeah. I don't know what manner we do that in besides,
Ask them.
well, yeah, but do we schedule a work session? Obviously, we ask, do we schedule a work session? Do we, you know,
I'd like to see us form a committee, an infrastructure committee of concerned citizens that could give us some feedback.
Ashley?
So one other suggestion from Lonnie, and it is, I'll talk about it sort of pluses and minuses. You could also seek an in-house employee city attorney, who, like your city manager, reports directly to you. A lot of cities do have that. Not many cities the size of King City have that. Just because there's not typically enough legal needs to make up a full time. And again, what I talked about before in terms of, does one person have all of the skill set that you need? That's a person, but you could have a setup if you would like, where you have a in-house employee city attorney and then contract out for some specialty services. It's our firm's experience that sometimes it can be more expensive. But on the positive side, you have one more employee that reports directly to you. It's somebody that, not, in my situation, I'm responsible for knowing like 20 codes that, knows your code and your chart, and it doesn't have to look at that every time. So it is another idea to consider.
So what do you do when you have an employee that's supposed to be managed by the city council, but refuses to be managed by the city council? That's been the problem. We have been managed. So we want to change the infrastructure, because right now, our code says that the city council is supposed to manage the city manager. That is why we had an impasse, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong, but that's how I saw it, and I don't want to go back to this.
And that would be another downside, because it is more difficult to part ways with an employee than a contract.
Well, it's been really difficult for us to, in my opinion, follow what our code has required of city council to do. And that is to manage the city manager and manage the city attorney. And I know we're going to be talking about in the next half of this meeting about the needs of a city manager. And in my mind, both the city attorney and a city manager, we have to be very clear that the city council has got to be the oversight and the check and balance of any power structure coming from the city manager or from the city attorney. And I hear you, and I hear what the mayor is saying, I hear what Councilor Tyson is saying, I hear what Councilor Gerhard is saying, but I need somebody, and I don't know if that's you, Ashley, or somebody else, to help me understand how do we avoid that clash of power that we just came out of? How do we get things on the right footing to get that in the right infrastructure so that the people that come in understand that the city council needs to manage them and they need to be okay with that. If they're not okay with that, then they're not gonna be a good fit.
Okay, I think we need to also move on to our next item of business before we hit 1 o'clock. So I would like to recommend for like next steps for city attorney specifically, maybe we schedule a work session where we can, top priority would be discuss who we might be able to direct appoint as an interim in the meantime. We've got 4 recommendations by Ashley. I think we could independently look into those. We could have a discussion around who we might want to reach out to. We could also ask community to come and give their input on specific needs. And then if there is a decision we would like to make, we can go into a special session, vote, and move forward with that process.
Yeah.
So let's get that scheduled, I think, as soon as we can. I don't know if we want to do that now, or I can just send out an email with a couple potential dates in the next like week and a half.
Whatever works for you.
Okay, so I'll look at my calendar. I'll send out a couple dates that we can get going on that.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Bring up. I believe this is, and Ronnie, I'll need your attention here, because in the past at city council meetings, you said that we could not take notes and we had to turn them into you, or am I misinterpreting what you said? What's that?
You just have to turn them in.
Okay.
We
All right.
yeah, we
So
can take
I've
notes.
not
We just
taken
Yeah, so you can
notes.
take notes, but I will make a copy for
Yeah.
the official file.
Oh,
They're public records.
Yeah, they're probably, yeah.
okay, because I've not been taking notes and I don't have that list. And so I'm gonna say, when you send us the list that Ashley just made.
I have notes.
You have notes.
I got notes. I'll turn them in.
I was under the impression that we weren't supposed to take
No,
notes.
You can take
make
notes.
We can make notes.
As
Yep.
much as you want, just make sure they're nice and clean and polite.
It's true.
No bad words.
But for executive session, we prefer you not to make notes. And if
Okay.
you do make notes, we will take those village news and primary.
All right, we have just about 20 minutes left. So the next item on the agenda is a discussion on interim and permanent city manager positions. Ronnie did send out solicited some proposals from several agencies that could help us in our executive recruitment process. It seems like each of those, it's about a 4-month process to hire a permanent city manager. One of the things I would like to discuss as far as interim is, do we want to spend time trying to find an interim for 4 months, or do we want to just let Chief Hapala remain interim at this point? I think I would be a proponent of that, just to limit so much transition.
I like the chief, I really want the chief to stay as interim.
Yeah.
Until we can get things settled. I
Yeah.
think it's a good continuity. I
Mhm.
think the staff has already been jolted around
Yeah.
enough. I don't want to see that happening.
Yeah, I agree.
So then, if you guys want that, we need a formal motion.
Well, let's have a little bit more discussion.
I
Yeah.
think we
Because
need
Dan
more
has
To keep him as
discussion.
acting until we hire permanent.
Right now,
Yeah.
he is-
Well, I mean, he's acting until we
he's
find
acting
someone.
City manager.
He and I have already been doing everything, probably about 3 or 4 weeks now.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to limit as much transition as possible, especially if in 4 months we have a permanent city manager. It just seems like kind of a waste of our time with so many other things we need to be doing. Counselor Tyso, you had something.
I do. I think that's wonderful on the one hand, but on the other hand, we can't guarantee that we will have a new city manager 4 months from now, because the clock starts ticking once we say yes to
Correct.
What
We
happened
do have to
to-
fill it within 6
to
months.
to a firm. And, you know, that is their, in quotes, hopeful timeline.
Yep.
And 2, I think that we're stretching our city staff extremely thinly. We have this list that Ronnie provided to us from LOC. A week and a half.
And that's only if you can get those people to come here.
Right, and I very carefully went through the qualifications of each person, and then I went online and Googled them and read comments from people outside of LOC.
Okay.
There were 2 of them on this list that I highlighted
Okay.
as I thought them reasonable choices if they were willing to step in. And one was Dale Shalleck and the other was Randy Ely.
Okay.
But
If I could just say, before we get to discussing particular interim city managers, Lieutenant, what do you feel as far as potentially 4 to 6 months as helping? I mean, is this something we can do? All hands on deck?
Confidence will be fine.
Okay,
Like,
We,
as you know, through the emailing system, I've been emailing the hiring of, like, we just hired somebody, tasked with all of that, it's fine.
okay,
Got through like I spent the day getting the passport stuff taken care of for August, we're good for a month. I have the new person starting Thursday.
Okay.
Got her.
is that the PIO?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, PIO slash.
whatever else can,
Slash whatever we need.
I mean, at this point, is it, so what I'm hearing is like, we can delegate
We got
for
it.
4 to 6
I think it'd be
months.
more disruptive to have somebody just coming in for a few months.
Yeah. Cause then I have to learn everything and get caught up and, okay.
So we've got it under control, the chief and I.
And you said you've been doing it for 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, I mean, I've been,
he's been filling in.
yeah, with the hiring of the new PIO, I've handled all the backgrounds.
Okay.
This is the third attempt, so it's been quite a process, but, yeah, it's.
I mean, Lieutenant, I feel like you and I have worked so well together
Yeah.
over the last 5 years, with just dealing with police stuff at Edgewater. Do you feel that you and the chief are comfortable at this juncture, given everything that you've seen us go through, in at least taking some direction from the city council, working collaboratively with us, give and take, give us feedback, have a discussion? You've worked with me.
I think we mostly do that already, so yeah, we've both talked a lot about this.
And you
Very
don't
much.
feel like we're gonna be burning you and the chief out in the interim, because I agree with Counselor Tyso, the last thing we wanna do is stretch our staff.
I would tell you, I
Okay.
think we'll be just fine.
I've been trying to say, and I know I speak for most of us, we are trying to show our compassion and our support for the staff by helping get the union thing going, by having you guys help us let the staff know that we really want to work collaboratively with everyone. We want to turn the ship around in a positive way. We want to retain our good people. We want to pay them well. We want to show our appreciation. At the same time, you understand, and I think you respect that we're trying to learn from what's happened and fix it so it doesn't happen again. And that is going to take a little bit of doing.
Yeah, we'll be, and I would say the utmost confidence, we're fine.
Okay.
We can handle it.
And what about? Because we have all of this development happening and somebody has to manage that. So is that falling on Max's shoulders pretty much?
All of us right now.
We're doing a lot of talking and dividing and conquering, like,
Okay.
we're spreading it across, and honestly, this new person coming in is really the right time, cause I can really, it's a helping hand in the front while people are doing more in the back, so,
Is there anything else you need from us during this time?
no.
Okay.
Can you help us get a list of like what projects are going on in that realm
Sure.
so that the city council once again is not left out of that loop?
I think that's a
Yes.
great suggestion. Maybe even just like pressing due dates of things we might need to
Contacts
bring
out there?
to council.
Yes.
That way we don't fall, past
If
due.
you all know about the CBA, but I'll work on the one after.
Okay, so at this point, I would like to move that we appoint Chief Hapla interim city manager until we have a permanent city
I
manager.
second
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Cool.
it. Unanimous.
Congratulations, chief, wherever you are.
Yes.
Okay, so that is awesome. We have chief as interim until we get our permanent, and I just think that's gonna be great for
Is
just-
that starting now,
Starting
today,
August
or
8th.
August 8th?
August
or-
starting, oh yeah, sorry.
August 8th, so, for city manager.
August 9th is a Saturday.
Okay, so.
Starting, okay, do I need to update my motion or just clarify?
We're acting.
Acting until Monday after August 8th. And then interim, okay.
The 10th.
All right, so as far as permanent city manager positions, we did get, I think about 5 or 6 different proposals for firms that could help. Do you have anything you would like to say regarding those?
Did you all get my staff report on that?
I did, I read it. I think some of them are pretty expensive,
They are all expensive.
except for
So it
LGPS. I like the LGPS the best.
The only downside with them is their work is not guaranteed. Staff will have to pick up some of the slack on that. And that's kind of why I was kind of going with.
Can you explain more about just that?
Yeah.
Like,
So, from what I read, all the agencies that we would pay a little bit more to offer a guarantee for their services for 1 year. So say the city manager didn't work out, they would go out for another process on the.
since they're less than half of the others, I don't know that guarantee really,
That doesn't mean anything.
really matters to me
I
either.
see your point.
Yeah,
though.
thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that, because I was
So, and then
concerned.
the other part that I noticed too is, they do have some services in their or in their stuff, but it's not very clear on what do staff have to do to make it successful.
Well, hopefully we can, I'm sorry. I don't-
Do you have any like specific ones in there that you're thinking as opposed to what other proposals had?
Yeah, so, my favorite one that I would probably recommend is, Portman.
Yes, sir.
I think I said that right, Portman? Prothman, thank you, Prothman.
Right.
Their professional services is 17,500. It's a little bit more than LGPS.
I just don't think we're ready to make we're not gonna make a decision today, right?
We
Maybe-
don't need to, no, we're just talking about it.
I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, no, just kind of pros and cons and yeah, sure,
So we've had clients that have used all of these.
okay.
LGPS is, substantially less expensive than the rest of them, but they do outsource to staff a lot.
Oh.
So your staff is highly involved in drafting the materials, sending it out. So while you do save money, you're not getting as much as like a full service recruitment.
Okay.
It takes up a substantial amount of schedule.
Okay.
But we have more control over it.
But more
No, you guys will
control,
always
no.
have control over it.
Yeah.
So, because with all the, proposals that I read, they meet with you first to get your guys'
Mhm.
goals.
Yeah, I
to
did
get
see that,
your
yeah.
Perspective on what you guys think is a good city manager and stuff like.
And
that.
we get like approval of the different
Yeah,
brochures
then you
and
get-
advertisings
yeah,
and all that.
work on it, Send it to you. they-
Okay.
You approve it, and then it goes from there.
So what agency did we use when we hired Mike Weston?
I honestly don't think we did one.
I don't think we did.
I would really like to not put more on staff's plate. Obviously, we're already doing that. So I think that with that in mind, I want to like relook at these, and maybe that's something we can add on just quickly to the work session slash special session, but because they're both high priority, but it sounds like our attorney needs are going to be like, I want to immediate, and I want to take like the full hour to discuss like that and how we can move forward with that. But I think we could potentially tack this on to the end, provided that everybody looks through the proposals. And then maybe we have, are there any other questions anybody has regarding this? Yeah.
What was your favorite one?
The Prothman.
Prothman. So, and then on that too, real
Oh,
quickly.
he had
the,
the attachments to his email, he had all their bios. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm trying
No,
to
no,
tell
no,
Steve.
you're good.
So
I'm trying to tell him
can you,
where-
yeah, go back to why you like them the best. They were cheaper, full service.
Not necessarily cheaper, they're second cheaper.
Right, right.
It's just what you're paying, you're getting more for what you're paying for.
Mhm.
So, they have professional fees, extended, and direct expenses, which means, all of them, no matter what you do. If somebody comes out of state, we have to pay for that. So we have to pay for the hotel room, the air ticket, stuff like that. So I put $5,000 in that for most. 5% contingency because I like being careful. And then the total estimated cost for them is $25,399. So
And would those additional, that would be something we would be adding on to any of these proposals? Okay, so any of these proposals, you're thinking like $8,000 more than what they said?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so because it's 5,000 for the hotels that I'm assuming that we're gonna have to pay for. Some is a
It's-
little bit more because they actually put it in their proposal.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I want to thank you. I know you spent a lot of time, effort on this. Thank you for that. It really showed in the emails that you sent us. And I don't want to like, I sometimes tend to jump to my thoughts and
No, you're good.
show my long
I don't
division.
take anything personal.
But I really want you to know I appreciate it. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the cost. I really
feel
am.
you. I get you.
I'd like to be able to, as you know, the mayor and I have asked repeatedly to really dive down into the financials. Our records requests have really gone unanswered. And before I would feel comfortable spending $25,000, 17 plus, whatever. I'd really like to see because I really want to make sure our employees get the increase in their salary.
So we can't talk about that right now.
But I'm just saying, I want to.
I want to just bring out that the proposal for LGPS is 12,000. So if we're adding still that same 8,000, they're sitting about 20. So then at that point, we need to say, is $5,000 for a full service firm worth not putting it on the staff to do everything? And
Which would be, push comes to shove, because you're creating overtime and our copying services
Yeah.
and all kinds of things. So if you were to do like kind,
yeah.
it's still gonna be $25,000.
I think at this point, we're all hands on deck with the full transition of everything and already putting a lot more on staff, that the difference in price, I mean, I think is worth continuing that discussion on the pros and cons of not adding more versus paying a little bit more for full
I would
service.
also, again, I would rather ask my staff, maybe they would like to make $17,000 more and work with us I mean, I'm not saying they have to.
You just tell me where to sign.
I mean, if we're gonna spend $20,000 a tenant, would the staff wanna know that they might be able to make that extra money if they're interested?
Is that even something that is
Yeah.
like,
Are we allowed to do that? No,
cause there,
I don't know what's allowed.
well, there
That's
wouldn't
all
be
we
like
can-
any, I mean, it would be the same, like there wouldn't be guarantees, there wouldn't be the, so I don't think you could just offer a staff member 20,000 in lieu of a firm, but I understand what you're saying.
Be creative here.
So, okay, we're about 5 minutes from when we are finished here. I think that this is something, we just add on to that work session for attorneys, but I want to keep this discussion to only like 10-15 minutes of like, this is the firm we want to go with,
Well, a couple of ideas about hiring a city manager. I'd like our staff to be able to weigh in on interviews.
So-
I'd like them
That's
to have.
part of
I
the-
don't-
That's part of it.
involvement,
Yeah, that's part of it.
I'd like them to have input. There's a lot of things I'd like to see.
Yeah, so there's, in a lot of these proposals,
Mhm.
which I can't remember if LGP.
I have it in front of me.
Community input.
But, yeah,
Staff
they
input.
do,
and our input.
interview panels or something like that with the community too. So it's not just the city council, it's the community to get feedback and so the community can ask questions to the candidates.
Okay,
And
that's
then
good.
obviously staff's gonna be invited to that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when they're first meeting with the council, they're also talking to the staff and the departments on what their needs are.
So we have homework. So for the work session, I'll send out a couple dates. Hopefully we can do it like next week. But make sure you just read through, it sounds like maybe our top might be Prothman and then LGPS. Read through those, really understand what each firm offers. And that way we can add on just, the last literally 10-15 minutes of that.
It sounds like maybe you don't wanna do this, we can also invite them to come to that work session.
Mm. Yeah, that might be a really good idea also. We're-
Invite all of them or just those two?
We did, I just know.
Okay, so can I ask a question about work session versus special session? Work session is more low key where we can just get community input without like open forum, right? But then nothing is decided on. Is that kind of
The way ours is written.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way it's written, in the past is the work session is just that, a work session. You guys hash it out.
Yeah.
So we.
Yeah,
and-
but then I think
and
go
then
into special session
session,
to make our decisions.
Typically come to consensus.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we just schedule both of those back to back with the, like assumption that we will have decisions that we want to make.
So we're gonna do just the two, LGPS and Proctor?
I think we need to research
Which,
it a little
which
bit
sounds
more.
like we just had a work session. made a decision. Kinda.
Just to review those two specifically, I mean, review all of them, but it sounds like those were the two we were really debating. And so,
To be fair, I would probably invite all of them.
Yeah.
And that way we're transparent and open.
that's gonna end
Take
up
a
being
lot of
a
hours.
lot of time to have 5 firms.
Well, we
The
can give them
one
a
firm
limit of
is out of
15 minutes.
Tell them get 3 minutes to tell us.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on and ask questions. Okay.
I think it's fair to say like, here's our, because especially if you're not really considering like some of the more expensive ones, then like it's not worth their time either, but for the ones that you are considering.
$28,000.
I mean, does anybody have a third? Ronnie, do you have a third choice? No, I think Jensen was the most
No.
expensive.
So let's do our
No,
homework.
that's
with
tone
you
deaf.
suggestion here. Suggest we do our homework before. the work
Let's,
session. Let's
let's-
do that
yeah,
and
let's
get
do
that done. And we'll all come up with our
top
choice,
3,
top 3.
and then we'll go
And then
from
we can
there.
talk about those 3.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
I'm concerned about if we are going to be asking 3 firms to come and present, we kind of need to know that now, because that's not something we can be like discussing.
So let's do a work
Before
session
then.
right now.
So I think you.
I think-
Provide consensus. I don't think you actually need that. The two that you're deciding between, I think it's fine to invite those two to attend a work session in the future. You can get directions, to ask to see if they're available.
Yes, I would say let's go with LGPS Prothman. If anybody looks at the proposals again and is like, gosh, I really think this firm needs to come, just send me an email and
I haven't had a chance to even look at.
Yeah,
the
so-
project. I-
so look at them. That's our homework for next time.
So I wouldn't invite them yet. Are we meeting next week?
So that'll be the work session, but we'll want them to come. Well, they can come and present. That doesn't mean that you have to. So I think that it would be good to have them.
I don't know that I'm agreeing to that.
But the rest of us might.
You,
like that.
we don't have, you don't have to agree to hire them. But I think having them be here to present and then answer questions would be good. So make sure you read through the proposals for LGPS and Prothman so that we can have that discussion and
Okay.
hopefully make that decision. So
I make a motion to adjourn.
I think that's all that we need. Yeah. That's fine. Yep. Motion to adjourn, second. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
All right, we'll meet sometime, hopefully next week.
Good rest of your day at work.
Another executive.